Hello, good evening from Bangladesh. This is A.K.M. Abdullah Al-Amin, Elizabeth Crick Fellow at Harper University and Assistant Professor at Bangladesh Agricultural University. I'm here presenting our research work entitled Profitability of Regenerative Agriculture with Autonomous Machines using an ex-ante assessment of British farming. This research is part of one of my PhD research objectives. Professor James Loewenberg de Boer, Kit Franklin, Edward Deakin, J.M. Monaghan, and Professor Carl Behendet is with me here as co-authors. Post-war agricultural intensification through external input-dependent whole-field soil cropping systems, conventional agricultural mechanization in Great Britain entails biodiversity loss. To achieve the production goals of productivity and profitability and environmental goals of limiting environmental footprint of agriculture, autonomous machines and mixed cropping systems with livestock are suggested as part of sustainable intensification solution. Among mixed cropping systems, for instance, relay cropping, pixel cropping, strip cropping, steep cropping is the simplest mixed cropping systems even feasible with conventional mechanization. The state of the art of mixed cropping systems reveal that most of the research fully concentrated on the technical feasibility of mixed cropping. For instance, research at hands-free hectare demonstration project in the Harper University demonstrated winter wheat, winter barley, spring bean grown side by side, and research in the Netherlands demonstrated pixel cropping uh, systems at Wageningen University. However, they pointed out that pixel cropping faced technical difficulties due to the different height and nutrient requirements of the different plants. The most up-to-date production economics on regenerative agriculture, considering strip cropping practices conducted from Professor James Loewenberg de Boer's labs, where our study found that autonomous machines make regenerative agriculture economically profitable. But the problem is that this research didn't incorporate all the soil health principles of regenerative agriculture. Here, this study missed livestock integration and manure return to the soil. Instead, this study considered nectar-flower mix to include the subsidy premiums from country stewardship program. And this study is published by the Wageningen University publisher. To address this research gap, our present study considered all the soil health principles of regenerative agriculture. That is, the 5 principles are considered here. Here we included the livestock with grassland production. And this study hypothesized that regenerative strip cropping with swarm robots could be profitable, thereby helping Great Britain simultaneously to meet food security, carbon net zero targets, and other sustainability challenges of biodiversity, animal welfare, and rural leveling up. Here, regenerative agriculture refers a year-round sustainable farm management strategy that address the spatio-temporal heterogeneity with diversifying crop production within the same fields in strips to minimize soil disturbance, improve resource use efficiency of the farm through reducing synthetic chemical input use, boosting soil health, biodiversity, and farm productivity. Case study and data. This study used ex-ante modeling scenarios considering Great Britain West Midlands farms produced, and that farm produced cereals with intensive beef finishing that was supported by the cultivated grassland. As we know that strip cropping has the edge effect benefits and taller plants has yield gain and smaller plants had yield penalty. But there is no data on the edge effects for same height plants. For that reason, our colleagues and we come up with the field layout, which is shown in the right side. And in that field layout, we considered winter barley, winter wheat, spring bean, and grass lay to maximize the edge effects. And modeling parameters were followed based on the hands-free hectare experience. Cost and return data were collected from an agribusiness consultant. And this study considered equipment scenarios where the whole field sole cropping considered 221 kilowatt uh, equipments, and the conventional regenerative strip cropping considered 28 kilowatt equipment scenarios. And for autonomous scenarios, this study assumed retrofitted this 28 kilowatt tractor for autonomous regenerative farming. That is, this study followed the equipment specifications as followed in the previous study published by Professor James Lowenbach Deboer and my study, which is published in Precision Agriculture. Intensive beef finishing suckle calves with harvested forage was considered as grazing in 2-meter wide strip was difficult. Grazing was not modeled because virtual or physical fencing of 2-meter grassley was infeasible, and this study considered manure return to soil in modeling. This study adopted the hands-free hectare linear programming model, which was originally based on the Purdue crop livestock model that was widely used throughout the world, for instance, countries like United States, Brazil, Colombia, Thailand, and various African countries. The objective was to maximize gross margin subject to binding constraints of land, labor time, tractor time, and combine time. The baseline results of 500 hectare farm shows that gross margin was 22,000 pounds higher for autonomous regenerative strip cropping compared to whole field sole cropping system. Conventional regenerative strip cropping was infeasible with the baseline assumptions. This study considered that 100 man days per month were required, but for conventional regenerative strip cropping, optimum solutions was not found for 100 man days per month. Optimum solutions were found for conventional regenerative strip cropping with 200 man days per month. So it's really challenging for labor scarce situation, and even hiring 200 man days per month with minimum wage rate that is 9.75 pounds is really difficult. The results of the return to operator labor management and risk-taking found that return to operator labor management and risk-taking was 48,000 pounds higher for autonomous regenerative strip cropping compared to whole field sole cropping systems. Interestingly, the return to operator labor management and risk-taking was higher for conventional regenerative strip cropping, but the problem is that we found that gross margin was less for conventional regenerative strip cropping, and as I mentioned earlier, it is difficult to hire such a huge number of laborers per month, that is 200 labor mandates per month, and with that minimum wage rate 9.75 per hour. Even though the study contributed to the regenerative agriculture and precision agriculture literature, the study has limitations on economic modeling. This study considered ex-ante analysis to guide British regenerative practices due to the lack of data of the edge effects for same height plants and the other agronomic benefits and agroecological benefits. And future research should model considering livestock, ruminant livestock, because fencing would not be economical in small strips. That is 2-meter strip we considered. And another bottleneck is intensive finishing create labor bottleneck. Input-output prices sensitivity must be considered to check the demand and supply side shock due to the COVID-19 and Russia-Ukraine war. This study considered data of 2018 to keep similarity with the study of Lowenberg-Dever and my study published in 2023. Input saving potentials, output gains from improved agroecology should be considered in economic modeling, and the future study should consider travel time on the public roads and manual loading time at the farmstead. This existing study didn't incorporate this. Home tech messages from this study. This study found that regenerative strip cropping with autonomous machines is profitable with compared to conventional whole field sole cropping and conventional regenerative strip cropping. And autonomous regenerative strip cropping provides a profitable approach to restore and improve within field biodiversity and ecosystem services. And this autonomous regenerative strip cropping is an win-win farming solutions to reconcile the production and environmental goals of arable crop farming. I'd like to extend my gratitude to Hands-Free Hector team for their cordial support. Acknowledgement also goes to Harper Adams University and Elizabeth Creek Charitable Trust for funding my PhD research. Thanks for your patience hearing. Please feel free to raise questions. Thank you.